Hi everyone, my name is Diane, and I wanted to share something with you that happened to me 20 years ago to this day, June 10th, 2021, what happened to me on June 10th, 2001. In April of 2001, my father was diagnosed with liver cancer. Anybody would be upset over that. It was definitely on my mind. On June 10th, 2001, I was in church praising God. I wasn't currently thinking about my father at the time. I didn't think. Anyway, I was singing. We have a contemporary band. I go to Chesapeake Christian Fellowship in Davidsonville, Maryland. Wonderful church. And I'm praising God. And out of nowhere, I hear Charlton Heston, like 10 Commandments voice say, "Diane, why do you doubt that I will be there to receive your father? I gave him another 35 years, didn't I?" And then it was done. Nobody else even responded or moved or looked. They were all just still singing like nothing just happened. I fell to the ground and I instantly started crying, weeping, because I couldn't believe that I just heard Jesus. I couldn't believe that his voice touched my ears. I didn't even feel worthy. So those two sentences have a lot of meaning to them, and I wanted to share that with you. And what all that, I want to unpack that, I guess you could say. So first, he said, "Diane." He called me by name. In Jeremiah 1:5, God said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you by name. I set you apart." He said in Exodus 33, he said, "I know you by name." He told Moses that. In Isaiah, he told Isaiah, "I know you by name." He knows me by name. That was very emotional in itself. But then I fell to the ground. I couldn't even stand on my own legs. And God said in Romans 14, he said, "Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess to God." We don't have an option. And you just instantly do this. In Isaiah 45, he says the same thing. We will immediately bow. And that's exactly what I did. I couldn't stop myself. At that very moment in church, I wasn't even thinking of my father. I was praising God. Yet God knew my heart. He knew that I was worried about my father and his afterlife. Was he really going to go to heaven? Would I see him after I died? God was rebuking me. Why do you doubt that I will be there to receive your father? He did the same thing to the disciples in Matthew 17. He said, "Because you have so little faith, I tell you the truth. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say, 'Move to this mountain,' and then it'll go from here to there." And he said, "Nothing is impossible for you." And that's how I feel. Nothing is impossible for us if we have the faith. And I wanted to share that point with you. So he said, "I gave him another 35 years, didn't I?" Well, I couldn't even process that. The first thing I thought of was, "Are you not going to give him 36? I still couldn't process that part at the time. I'll fast forward. I'll address that in a few minutes. But I will say that this was a very huge day for me because I was about to be rededicated to Christ. I chose this day, June 10th, 2001, to rededicate my life to Christ. So I had a lot of emotions going on and a lot of events. So after the baptism, I ran to my parents' house, which was an hour away, to tell my father what happened and what Jesus said. And my dad said, "Diane, I told you Jesus and I have always had an agreement." And that's all he would say. He wouldn't elaborate. So let's fast forward to Christmas of that year. We had already celebrated my father's 71st birthday, and now it's Christmas. My father grabbed my arm and he said, "Diane, I don't have much time." And he wanted to share with me some things that he wanted me to get done. He's always tasking me. Well, he was right. He was gone in 4 days. So I was sitting in my mother's kitchen a day or two after that, and I asked my mother, "So exactly when did Dad have a heart attack?" So we went down to the old rickety file cabinet. We pulled out the file. My father had a massive heart attack at 35 years old in June 2001, exactly 35 years that Jesus spoke to me. I gave him another 35 years, didn't I? My father would always say, "We have an agreement." So when my father had the massive heart attack at 35, my mother was beating on his chest, screaming, "Don't leave me." And the paramedics arrived and they said that she saved his life. And then they took him to the hospital. It wasn't the doctors, the nurses, my mother. It was Jesus. He said, I gave him another 35 years, didn't I? I also wanted to say this one thing. A lot of people think that the Bible is just man-made. Man wrote it. Man's fallible. It's history. Jesus is a prophet. He's not God. I will say this, that in the book of Timothy 3:16, it says that all scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the man of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. We all need bread, water, and sun, right? Jesus says, I'm the living water, I am the bread of life, and I am the sun. I am the light. And so he is the three things that we need to live. So I guess my whole point of this is I would like to encourage you to, at some point, spend some time with God, get to know him. He is a living God. He does know you by name. He does know your heart, and he hears all your prayers. So I just want to share that with you, and now it's out there. It's the 20th anniversary of what happened to me, and I just want to say God bless all of you, and peace out.